Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Hello, USA Global TV watchers and listeners, and welcome back to Talking Heads. Yes, this is our show today, and I am your presenter, Mariska du Preez. And today's topic, we are going to discuss leadership, the head, and the heart, which is always an interesting topic when it comes to leadership, because a lot of the times we think about all the things that needs doing as a leader. I need to get this project done. I need to get these things off my plate, and there's a to-do list as long as your arm. Now, part of leadership is also our people. That is, some would argue, the most important part of leadership is the people that we lead, not only the tasks that we are trying to get sorted. So, why exactly are we looking at the heart as well as the head? What's with this thing? Now, to start us off, let's go with the because head piece first. And what we have discovered within the neuroscience part of things is that our head, so your literal brain, has a lot of connections to your body. And in general, the messages are prone to go from the body to the head a lot more than the other way around. We used to think that the head or the brain is the control center. Now, there's a lot of controlling that it does do. And a lot of our sensory systems actually reside in the body. So if something happens for our body, it sends those messages to the brain to say, hey, this is happening in your environment. So say, for instance, there's a hot stove and you have, for some odd reason, your hand too close to it. The body will tell the brain, maybe you need to remove your hand because it's really close to the hot stove, which of course then would happen accordingly. The brain, they also found out, is a little bit of a predictor. So the brain loves predicting things. It is looking for patterns everywhere it goes. And it has been doing this, well, basically since it started functioning. So ever since you were very, very little, it was busy accumulating all these different things that it now takes and then makes predictions. Now, if you think about that, really think about that, it explains why it is so difficult for us to get out of certain behaviors, because our brain is predicting that in this situation, this is going to happen, so I need to act this way. It has already predicted it, even before it happened. So I have already taken the step before even taking the step. Yes, I know that's going to get a bit confusing, but that's what the brain does. So what we need to do is to reprogram it in order to do something else. Now, within the leadership space, Our head is also the place that we typically communicate from most. We will communicate in the form of facts and figures. Now, I know for most of my specialists, and this is something that I often remind them, is that we do not take our emotions, put it in a small little jar, and put it in a cupboard somewhere. And then when we get back home, take it out of the cupboard and put it back. It's not the way it works. We always bring our whole selves everywhere we go. So only speaking to our head, whether it is that we are speaking to our own head or whether it is that we are speaking to the team and the people within the team's heads, that is only part of the conversation. Because remember the thing about the body having a lot of receptors and signals that it sends to the brain? Well, one of those pieces is known as the heart. Yes, your physical heart has an impact, and the heart area also has an impact. So some more interesting research that's been done through the Heart Math Institute. They actually look at the electrical signals that's sent through the heart area. And they have found that it impacts physically the energy around it. Another fun fact is that we as human beings are susceptible to others' emotional states. So take a little experiment for yourself. Think about a movie or a video clip that you have seen where somebody maybe fell from stairs and you can actually hear the crack when they fall. Typically, for a lot of people, we will flinch because of that thing. Now, of course, the event happened quite a while back, and we still have that same reaction. And that's because we have a whole bunch of things called mirror neurons. So mirror neurons help us to actually understand each other a lot better because we can mirror the other person's emotional state and even sometimes their physical state. So if that person fell and it was really painful, we can sort of feel the pain in our own knee. Or if there was somebody around you and they hit their toe, right, you were in the vicinity, you sort of go, because we know how it feels. And there's some mirror neurons being activated. So all of these things, why is this important? As a leader, this is important because in our teams, we cannot switch off our mirror neurons. We actually want to use our mirror neurons. And how do we do that? Well, to start off with, say for instance, we are going through a change process. Now, for most leaders, when we mention a change process, you sort of want to shy away. And the first sort of thoughts coming up for most people is, oh man, this is going to be difficult. Because even though change is one of those things that's a constant in our life, we never stay the same. For some odd reason, we always want to kick against it. So understanding that that's some of the emotional states that's going to be in that environment, not only for us as a leader, but also for our team, we can now be a lot more intentional in the way that we interact with our team. Now, unfortunately, we cannot always get clarity or certainty about everything around us. And as the world is going at the moment, it is getting more uncertain and more uncertain as it goes day by day as time goes by. What we can do, however, is be transparent and make sure that the head piece, which is the information, and the heart piece, which is the authenticity and really moving from that inner being, is in alignment. Because when our head part and our heart part does not have that alignment, what we do is we are creating incongruence. And what happens when we create incongruence is people don't trust us. It breaks trust. Now, in any situation, trust is really, really important. In times of change or when things are a little bit unstable, it becomes even more important. So making sure that we are actually operating from a space where we are in alignment as a leader with our heart and our head. So everything is in alignment. That makes it a lot easier for our team to trust us. Now, remember the mirror neurons that I spoke about a little bit earlier on? Because we show up in alignment, it makes it easier for our team to do the same. Because we are bringing that energy, our heart energy, into that space. And yes, this can become really tricky because as we are bringing that energy into our space, our team also brings certain energies into the space. So wherever they are at with the heart and head alignment will cause different energies to be brought into the space. And that's where we as leaders really, really need to be vigilant about what we bring in and how strong our muscles are to keep it there. So it's great to get all the information from all the different people and being able to notice it. So one of the things that for most leaders, especially specialists early in their leadership, and some leaders even moving up within their leadership, struggle with is we are so used to talking to the head, we forget about the heart. And the reason why the heart is important is that it helps us to connect. It helps us to connect to ourselves. It helps us to connect to our purpose and the meaning that we bring into life, which really just makes life more fulfilling. And it also helps us to connect to our team. It helps us to connect to that environment within our team and to make sure that we build trust. So that is why it is so important for us to be aware of the heart space and what's happening in there for us and for our team. Now, for most leaders, that is an area that's not necessarily as well developed as our head, because, well, to start off with, we all went to university, and what's the thing that we develop there? Yes, it's knowledge. We develop our head space a lot. We, however, forgot that we are not a stick with a head, we are a body with a head. So most people forget that they have a body and we switch it off. So we desensitize ourselves to the messages that it is actually telling us. And that's one of the things that, as a leader, it is really important to get back in touch with your own body, because your own body is giving you a lot of signals around what is going on around you in your environment, which also means that your body has the ability to pick up what's happening with your team. Now, when you can pick up what's happening with your team, it makes it easier for you to know what direction to take, to know what sort of conversations to have, to understand what would be valued within that space, and maybe when to hold off on something a little bit longer. Or possibly build up to it in a different way. And we can only do this if we can actually notice what's going on for ourselves. So, how do we do this? Well, a quick and easy tip into how to notice our body just a little bit more is noticing your center line. Right. And you can literally go from your head to your toes. And notice in this state at the moment, what's happening inside of me? What's happening in my head? Do I have any weird thoughts running around in there that may or may not be serving me at the moment? So that's typically an easy one to do. Most people notice, hopefully, if they have any thoughts that's running around in their head. So you can jot down the thoughts if that's helpful to you to get it literally out of your head and onto paper to start off with, and then focus on the next area. So as you move down, you might focus on your throat. What's happening to my throat? Maybe it is a big presentation I need to give. My head is going nuts. It is saying that it is really worried that I'm going to mess this up. There's few important people in the room, and I really want to make sure that we actually get this project off to a good start. And I don't know whether they'll actually agree to do the things that I want them to do. So my head is going with a whole bunch of different stories, which literally I have no idea whether it's true or not because I don't know what the other person is thinking. Then, focusing on my throat, I might feel, okay, throat area, I'm feeling some constriction, right? I'm feeling some tightening in my throat area. My voice feels a little bit weird. It does weird trembles when I want to speak. So I'm noticing all of these things. It's not I need to solve it right now. I need to first notice them. Going further down, it might be that I feel within my chest space, there's maybe a tightness somewhere. Or I might feel that my shoulders are hunched up to my ears and I need to actually take them down. Going a little bit further down, I might feel that there's knots in my tummy. Yes, we can sometimes feel knots in our tummy, right? We feel that there's a feeling of maybe even nausea. So noticing all these feelings, my body might be telling me that I didn't prepare enough. My body might be telling me that I am ready for a stressful situation. It is getting me ready for that situation. The only way I know what message my body is sending is by noticing it over different situations. So I get to understand the messages that I'm getting. Now, every person's messaging system is a little bit different. The way you and your body talk to one another and the way somebody else and their body talks to one another is not the same. Even within cultural spaces, we have found that there's differences in the way that things show up for us. For instance, for some people and in some cultures, they will experience stress in their shoulder areas. And in other instances or other cultures, we have found that you actually experience stress in your tummy. So different people and different cultures has different expressions in their body of what's going on. And that is your job, to understand what's going on in yours. Because once you know what's happening in yours and how it shows up for you, It makes it easier to understand the message that's coming up and then to interpret it in a way that actually serves you versus in a way that might not serve you. Because going back to our presentation example, if I feel I have knots in my tummy, I might have in the past predicted, remember the brain is a predicting thing. So I might have in the past predicted that this is nerves, and because it is nerves, I will not have a great presentation. Now, I have also noticed that if I'm really excited about a holiday or something when there is a little bit of a risk involved, but there's also a lot of reward involved, the same thing happens. Does that mean I'm nervous? Well, technically, no. That might mean that I'm excited. And it also means that before the presentation, I'm excited and I'm getting ready to actually perform well. Now, because I have noticed my body's messages, I can rewrite the prediction my brain is giving, which means I also rewrite the behavior I am actually going to have. And within that, I can be more intentional as a leader as to how I show up with my team and how I lead my team, because now I know what's happening inside of me. And the wonderful thing about our bodies and our heart is the fact that because we can read the room and literally feel all the other things with our mirror neurons that everybody else is experiencing within the room, I can now notice what might be going on for them and start to be curious about it, which means I'm transparent and I build trust, which helps all of us connect and actually have a great working environment. So, noticing how the head is a really great place to be because, well, there's a lot of tasks that we need to do, and our checklist is still the length of our arm, and it needs to happen. And if and when we bring the heart and the rest of the body into this conversation, we can have a connection within the team, which means that our team also become a lot more productive and we can hit those tasks off the list a lot sooner without creating unnecessary wobbles within our work environment, because now we notice it and we can do something about it before it becomes a problem, instead of, well, ignoring it, thinking that we have put all of that in a jar and hid it in a cupboard. We were actually just playing ostrich and hiding our head in the ground. Not a very useful strategy. So I would love to know, as a leader, how you go about aligning your head and your heart to ensure that you are congruent in the way that you show up and that you communicate with your team. And with that, this is the end of our lesson for today. And I really look forward to having you join me in March for our next lesson here on USA Global TV and Radio. And of course, if you would love to get a little bit more on how to work with me or understand how to align your head and your heart, you can contact me via my email address, which is mariska@journey2discover.com, or alternatively, connect with me via LinkedIn and we can start our conversation. Until next time, enjoy your learnings. Bye.